welcome to Coach Caroline's channel. We're back with Coach Mary Nell. I'm very excited for you to meet Coach Mary. She's pretty awesome. I've known her for about a year now? At least a year? Yes. And she is a best-selling author. So I have her bio right here. I'm just going to turn and read it to you. Mary Nell is a best-selling author and a software test analyst. She is also known as the Wabi-Sabi Life Coach. She started Wabi-Sabi Coaching to assist women at life's crossroads and transitions. Embracing change and navigating through life's shifts can be overwhelming and at times unsteadying. Yet with the right guidance, these challenges can transform into milestones. Wabi-Sabi Coaching concentrates on helping individuals find peace with what is, attain clarity on the desired future path, and spark the motivation to move forward. Mary works with her clients to identify what truly aligns with their values, allowing them to confidently make decisions that resonate with their true selves and empower them to live their best lives by embracing the Wabi-Sabi way. Thank you for being here today, Coach Mary.
Thanks so much for having me, Caroline. I'm excited to get into the conversation.
So am I. I really want to unpack what Wabi-Sabi means. Can you tell us?
Oh, sure. Well, to me, I was reading a book recently, and it's by Beth Kempton, and she actually put this so succinctly when she said, if you go to Japan and you ask anybody what does wabi-sabi mean, everybody has a different interpretation of it, and there is no specific meaning. It's more of a feeling, it's more of a way of being in the world. And for me, it's this profound philosophy that celebrates the beauty of imperfection, the fact that life is always changing and authenticity can be found in simplicity. So there's a lot of acceptance and also appreciation of what is, whatever journey that you're on in life, and whatever, the good, the bad, the ugly, just appreciate that and actually look for things that you can love about that. And then also accepting the fact that life is constantly transient. So whatever we meet in life, we meet it with an appreciation and an expectation that what can we use this, what can we do with this that has shown up in my life? That's the way that I've interpreted wabi-sabi. It's also being able to find the simple things that you literally find joy in. We're constantly, it's like this world, we're constantly buried with messages of, getting better, good, trying to constantly be better, trying to get the next shiny thing. So wabi-sabi is almost like taking a step back and going back to simplicity and accepting the simple things in life, appreciating sitting around and just having a cup of coffee and just appreciating life. So for me, that's the essence of wabi-sabi, and that's what I try to inject into my coaching. We work with people that constantly want to get more or are not too happy with their lives. And I think a lot of times it's because we haven't stepped back to actually look and see what we can be pretty grateful for. So long-winded way of summarizing that, but like I said, everybody has their own way of interpreting what wabi-sabi is, but it's basically an appreciation of simplicity.
Simplicity. That's beautiful. What I have is that it's more of a concept, right? That's
Exactly.
why everybody has their own idea of what it means. It's like a general concept, as you say, of like enjoying the moment, enjoying the process. It also seems to encompass failures are not really failures, just learning opportunities, exactly. That kind of positive mindset, positive framing of challenges. And yeah, that's beautiful. So can you tell me, so you are the Wabi-Sabi coach.
Correct.
And can you tell me how you became the Wabi-Sabi coach?
Well, I got started in personal development like decades ago. As most of us that are in the coaching industry are, it's usually more for our own benefits. And like a lot of people, I got introduced to personal development through Anthony Robbins. And from there, I got interested in NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and hypnotherapy. But it was mostly for my benefit. And for the longest time, it was more about, I was a very shy, quiet, retiring child. And even though I was insanely curious and um, how do you say, I wanted to connect with people, but that was not something that came naturally to me. And ironically, I grew up with people with siblings that were very outgoing and always had friends around. But I was the quiet sister that was at the corner, just wondering how everybody could get along so well. So I finding personal development just kind of introduced me to how people behave, the way, why we behave the way we behave, and how to change behaviors and how to instill new behaviors, all of those kind of things. And it wasn't until several life changes that the idea of coach actually becoming the person who stands in the gap for people who are also looking to move or introduce something, some new behavior into their lives, or change a certain behavior started becoming more and more attractive. Like you say, I'm a software tester by profession. I still have a 9 to 5. And then as you grow older, you kind of fall into this retrospective of what do I want the next stage of my life to be about. And for
Mm,
me, coaching became, it's like after spending so many years, not just as a personal develop, in personal development for myself, but also finding myself intuitively standing in the gap for other people and constantly being told, you should do this for a living. You're just sitting with someone, listening, giving them your own point of, your understanding of what they're saying and helping them expand their perspective of what the situation is, which ultimately leads them to think of other possible solutions. And um, it just felt like an instinctive thing. And I think if you speak to 10 coaches, at least 8 of them have come into coaching like that. They have this instinctive way of connecting to other people that makes people say you should do this for a living, or how is it possible that every time I speak to you I can always think of a solution or a different way about thinking about this. And
mm,
then obviously that now became a germ that started growing in my head. And it's like I did battle with it for a while because you know how it is, no matter how much personal development you do, being somebody who sits there and stands in the gap for someone and is able to, give them up, that way of looking at life is one thing, but wearing the hat of I am a coach is a totally different thing again. So just battling with that well, would you say it's a responsibility, or am I am I even qualified to do that? And so that kind of took me down a path of a lot more qualification, re-qualifying in NLP, and then taking up cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, and a lot of other leadership coaching sessions. And yeah, this is me now. I still
yeah.
work as a software tester, but I am coaching as a side. Coaching is very much my passion, my baby of passion, so to speak.
Yes, yes, I can see that. So I love the way you talk about standing in the gap for people. I've not heard that before. That's a really interesting way of describing the coaching client relationship. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And yeah, because if you notice, I say this is why I'm a life transitions coach and a mindset coach. Because we get to stages in life where you either feel this is my life, even though I would like things to change, but this is my life, or I want things to change, but I cannot see how to get there from here. Sometimes they don't even know what there wants to what there is, and because you have no idea what there is, how do you even start going there when you don't know what there is?
Mm,
Standing in the gap is just being that bridge that helps to um, clarify what your values are, what will bring you, what will spark joy, as they would
mm,
say. What do you want the next stage of your life to be about? What will spark joy? Because what sparks joy is what sparks motivation. And
mm,
then what are the next best steps? Not like how do you get there like yesterday, but what's the next best
mm,
steps? First of all, start with an appreciation of who you are, what you've what you've managed to do, and appreciate that, and it's like love that about yourself, and then decide what are my values, what do I want my next stage in life to be about, and then what are my next best steps. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be this huge massive stone that you have to move. It's just little steps, and and little steps while being very compassionate with yourself and appreciating yourself along the way. There's just so much growth that happens there. Like if you just take a couple of steps and you realize like I'm happy, but it's sometimes just getting to the point where you look back on your journey and all the things that you used to beat yourself up about. I didn't do this, I couldn't do this, and you you flip that, reframe that, and it becomes, oh, I did manage to do this, and look at what I did, and I actually have this, and just unearthing the really precious gems about yourself. That sometimes is all the work that you need to do. But just I find getting to that point just makes you feel so much more invincible, and then the motivation is not something that you have to dig for. It's just there.
mm, mm. Beautiful. I love the way you talk about coaching. I believe that you are a very powerful coach. When I hear you talk and when I hear about the modalities that you have studied, I can hear that you're a very powerful coach. So I'm just wondering, you do have a coaching business and you've talked about your coaching clients. Um, what are some challenges that you've faced setting up your coaching business?
Ooh, um, well, I think a few come to mind, and I'm just struggling with which one do I tell you first? I think the first one of the first ones is the fact that people still confuse coaching with therapy. I still confuse coaching with therapy, but there is a really fine line because with therapy there is a lot of looking backwards. There's a lot of trying to clarify and find out what has caused all sorts of things. With coaching, it's about looking forward, and it's like getting yourself excited about your next big thing that you want to achieve in life. That's the major thing about the difference between therapy and coaching. Um, but you find that a lot of people still conflate the both of them, and therefore there is a lot of um, hesitancy and fear, even for someone who has raised their hand and said, "Look, I want to be coached." They still have some reservations because they think, "Oh, this is going to be painful, or this is going to be so unpleasant, and I'm going to end up, it's like being so miserable." And it's just that gentle clarification that no, we're all about keying into what makes us what brings joy, what makes us motivated, what makes us want to move forward, what we're looking towards. Yes, we may need to reach into the past a little bit, but it's all about reframing that past so that it will make the future look even more enticing. So that's
Mm,
one of the things. And on the one hand, and on the other hand as well, it's being able to tell, look, what you do need is therapy and it's not coaching. And maybe you need to speak to someone who will be able to help you through these other things. And then we can, once you get to a certain level, then we can work together in coaching, in the coaching area, but there
mhm,
is still some work in therapy that needs to be done. So there's a little bit of distinction that needs doing between the both of those areas. So that's one of the challenges.
mm,
Another challenge is sometimes you have people that come expecting you to fix them, and it's just trying to, it's like I may have raised my hand, but it's I haven't reached the point where I'm ready to take responsibility yet for my life. And
Mm,
there is, when it comes to coaching, a lot of the heavy lifting, well, most of the heavy lifting has to be done by the person.
right.
You, as an individual, have to come ready to take on the responsibility of moving yourself from where you are now to where you want, or to another place. My job is to act as the bridge, but if you're not going to drive that car across the bridge, then, um, it's very difficult for me to carry you. I love
Mm,
metaphors, but
yeah. Yeah.
but sometimes, it takes a lot of patience. But it's also coming to terms with the fact that some people may not be ready yet to literally take on that responsibility. Sometimes it might just be a clarification, so that they're aware about what is involved in this journey as a coach. But as I get more experience, it's like you intuitively kind of feel where people are. And sometimes you do meet people that are not yet ready, but you have an instinctive feeling that it's just about clarification and showing them what, it's like, this is where you have to take the responsibility, and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that, okay then. And they end up picking up the responsibility and doing the work, um,
Mm,
even though they came expecting you to fix them. But it's just those tiny little distinctions that you have to make. In terms of,
mm,
for me personally, my biggest challenge was learning um, how to be a coach. uh, there is a big difference between being a friend who listens and being a
right.
coach, um, who's holding someone accountable, who is helping someone move across this said bridge. So it is just, and like I used to say before, I am this person who, when you come to me with with your story, my first instinct is to be like, oh, come here, let me hug you. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my first instinct. It's like I want to, but that's an enabling thing. So
Right.
you can do that, but only to an extent. So there's, again, very lots of distinctions between being a friend and being a coach, and
Yes.
learning those and making sure that and like putting that instinct at the back burner so that I can be a coach and actually help them move somewhere more empowering. I have to make sure that I don't be the person that enables them stay in their disempowered state. So
Mm,
that was a huge learning. It took a long time for me to be able to do that switch. And then also, when you have run a coaching business, it's a business. So you have to do all the things. I just want to coach. I just want to talk to people. I just want us to, it's like, and then I want to geek out on the psychology of it all.
yeah.
But then I also have to run a business. It's like, it's the
Yeah.
media, it's the marketing, it's like, it's all of those things that,
Yes.
ugh.
Yes. Yes.
And so you're doing all of that at the same time. There's part of you that wants to give it away, but I think there's also value in learning how to do all of those things. So for
Yeah.
me, what I came to realize is it's not going to happen immediately. So for me, the challenge was just realizing that it's all part of the learning path and it's all good. And so now I'm not expecting me to be perfect at it like immediately.
Mm.
I'm still experimenting with different things. I still suck at certain areas. Oh, my Instagram! Please don't look at my Instagram.
Ooh, I'm gonna go see now.
But yeah, it's how do you say it? Um it became an avenue for me to coach myself around, um knowing that yes, this is all part of the journey of building a coaching business.
Yes.
So when I first started, I used to conflate the both of them, or I used to, it's like, I'm not doing this, that means I'm not a good coach. And I was like, no, no. You coach fine. Everyone that it's like you've seen the results from your coaching. Your
Mm,
marketing is different. So keep that separate, and then let's
mm,
think about how are we going to think about this and where do we want to improve and what's the next best step for making that better. But yeah, that's been my learning. I wouldn't say it's also
mm,
been a challenge.
mm. And how are you figuring out the areas that you need to improve?
Well, first of all, it's deciding on the areas that I want to be strong at.
Mm,
So the most important thing was my coaching. So whatever takes away from my coaching becomes the next thing. So first is
mm,
my coaching, and then the next area is uh, my speaking, which is
mm.
what I'm practicing at the moment. Then once I get to a little bit of a cadence, then I can now take my speaking into the public and run with that. And then, to be honest, I don't know what the next one will be. Um, I don't like to over put stuff on my plate and then I'm thinking, oh, but I still have so many things to do, even though I
Mm,
still do it, but still. That's the next best step. Is like the next thing is to work on my speaking, um, and then start doing short videos on Instagram and other medias.
yeah, sounds good. Those are your next steps.
Those are my next steps. Yeah. Being a coach doesn't mean you stop coaching. You have to keep coaching yourself all the time.
Exactly. It's a huge mindset journey. And every day working on your mindset because
For
the
sure.
journey of an entrepreneur is, I think it's like one of the biggest vehicles for personal development out there, quite
For
honestly.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. A colleague of mine made a video the other day, and he asked this question like, he's had this question that's been going around in his head. Well, he had a learning, and then um, he was actually coaching someone else, and then got a learning for himself. Realized that there was some work that he needed to do on himself as well, and then had this question of when does it finish? And basically the lesson that he got from it, or the remembering that he got from it, was like, it's never done,
It's
it never
never
finishes,
done.
it's just levels, it's just levels. And
Yes.
sometimes you even come back and learn something that you've learned before
Yeah.
in another better way or different
Yeah. In
way.
a different context, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I resonate with what you're saying. So let's talk about your best-selling book. I want to talk about your best-selling book. Um, Tell me about the experience of becoming a best-selling author.
Well, that, to be honest, was quite a surprise. I think it was a conversation with you that brought up the topic about what I was going to write about. To be
Mm,
honest, I already had an idea of writing a book, and it had to do with the whole Wabi-Sabi principle and my thinking around it, and also exercises about different areas that it could be applied to. And I think having that conversation with you kind of brought home the fact that who am I to just come and tell people, it's like give people yet another thing with a whole bunch of new exercises for them to do to make themselves, you know, better,
mm,
when they don't really know who I am and how I am, what is the word, qualified to be advising them in that way. So
right.
the idea of writing a book about myself and my journey and how I got to find the whole Wabi-Sabi principle just seemed more uh, appropriate than, first of all, just saying, here, take this, and these are workbooks, and these are things for you to do.
Mm,
So the idea of just writing a little book just saying, this is my journey. This is what I learned along the way. This is how I came across this principle. And these are exercises that may be useful for you to do that are still coaching. It will let people know who I am, get them, introduce them to my story, and then at least if you ever come across me or my work, then you already have an idea of who I am
Right.
and why I am qualified or to actually preach what I preach, so to speak. In
Yeah.
terms of the process, it was pretty smooth because I did a lot of work with you and you kind of helped me hold my hand through the whole thing. Um, I have to say, I was quite surprised about the whole best-selling thing because I just put it out there and well, who am I saying? Well, I didn't just put it out there. I put it out there and I pretty much hounded everybody that I knew
Yeah.
to look at it. But just reading the synopsis of my story, I was very surprised and touched at how many people actually um, raised their hand and um, bought the book and said they were going to read it, for it, enough of them over a short period of time to actually make it into the bestseller list.
Yeah.
It just brings home the fact that, it's like ask and you shall be giving, really. If I know we had to do a lot of some work around the whole, oh my God, I'm so worried about, letting people know about this. But
Mm.
then as soon as I let people know, it was just support. Always there's a lesson. And for me, it was the fact that you just never know how much support you can get until you actually ask for it. And sometimes we
Mm.
just assume that it isn't there. And it's really the fact that we haven't asked, and that's why we haven't seen it.
Yeah. And have you used your bestseller status in your marketing and on your website and all that stuff? Have you rocked it? Have you flexed?
I am ashamed to say that I haven't rocked it, but I have a reason. I have a reason
Uh-huh.
because I'm putting the final touches on the book itself, and I want the book itself to be, because this was a launch, and the actual book is going to be out in the store shortly. So I
Mm-hmm.
want the actual book to be out in the store, and then I'll do a second soft launch, and then you start using that as my marketing. That's the plan.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Because something that about the best selling process is what we say is the bigger the plane, the longer the runway. So, do you know what that means when it's applied to the best selling journey?
I'm afraid not, no.
Okay, so it's another one that we say is it's more about the sizzle than it is the steak.
Steak, yeah.
Do
So
you
it's
understand?
it's just the whole.
So it's less about the actual book and it's more about the journey, the process, what you learn and what you do with it. Right? Right? And then when I say it's the bigger the plane, the longer the runway. So from the moment that you have pressed that pre-order button and you have the launch, everything that you're doing is building your business. Right? So if you wait a year, because KDP gives you 1 year to release the manuscript, the longer the runway, the bigger the plane, right? So we're talking about your coaching business.
True, true. So the book doesn't need to be out, basically.
Right. That's the point. That's the point. It's all about this, the bestseller status, like the actual status and the sizzle around the experience and what you do with it when it comes to your coaching programs and what you offer and how you're putting yourself out there and using the momentum that you have created and the interest.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tell me what challenges you faced writing your manuscript?
Um, Writing it, I think we even had we had a few sessions around this. I think for me, one of the biggest things was just feeling very vulnerable about putting a story out there. Um,
Hmm.
we had, if I remember correctly, you remember I had this session with you where I thought, why am I putting all of my, why am I putting all of my laundry out there for
Right.
people to read?
Yeah.
And there was some work for me to be done around that. And
Yes.
putting myself out there so that people would understand why I was preaching the Wabi-Sabi way or principles, and just being able to relate it to my life in general. So that's the way that I got over that.
Well, I think it's about sharing your story, right? It's about sharing your story. When you share your story, people can learn from the experiences that you've been through, right?
Exactly,
They learn
exactly.
from you, they can relate to you. That's how you make connections, right?
That was
And
it. That was it ultimately.
yeah, that's how you make the connections. And when you put your pain out there, when you put your challenges out there, people look at you and go, "Oh, hey, like I'm going through something similar. What did she do to overcome this? Maybe she's got some answers for me. Maybe and I can relate to this person, right?" That's what it was. And I remember you were talking about airing your dirty laundry. I was like, no, that's not what it's like at all.
I know it felt a little bit like that. And then but
Mm,
once I made that switch, then it was so much easier.
In fact, my coach says your highest. Let me make sure that I'm saying it properly. He says that your highest pain point is also your highest paying point,
Wow, never heard it quite said like that, but yeah,
right?
that is so true.
So, oh no, your deepest pain point is your highest paying point. So the deeper you can express your pain, the pain that you've been through, the more you will connect with people, the more you will relate with them, the more vulnerable you can be, the more you will connect. And something that I teach is the ethical coaching funnel. And it's 3 steps, and it goes connect, coach, close. So, but the first step of the funnel is to connect. And if you share your pain, people are going to resonate with you. They're going to see solutions in you, right? They're going to see community in you, understanding, validation, authority, expertise in you, right? They're going to see these things in you if you share and you're vulnerable. And that's the start of the funnel,
That
marketing
is so
funnel.
true. That is so true. Just as an aside, like a couple of weekends ago, I attended this seminar where we had a couple of speakers, and one of them was a man who was wrongly accused and was jailed for 10 years. And
Mm,
another was a lady who herself and her husband were abducted by I can't remember if it was the Yemeni or um, but like terrorists, and they were kidnapped. They were detained for 8, and her husband an additional 11 months, and he eventually got killed. And
mm,
just listening to their stories, phew, incredibly powerful.
yeah.
Just and again, it's like throughout the whole rendition, they're telling you lessons learned, how it just shows human resilience. But so true is like by the end of the story, you connect with them so deeply. You want to hear so much more about their story. And
Mm,
yeah, it's like whatever it is that they are doing now, you just want to connect with them. So I
yeah.
totally understand that bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on being a best-selling author.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, what advice would you give to other authors and coaches out there?
One advice is the fact that it doesn't matter how short or long a book you want to write, it is always going to take longer than what you initially expected it will be. That's the first thing. So don't beat up on yourself too much about that. Just plan towards that. And then the next thing is, like I said, there will be things that come up in terms of resistance, and there's nothing as priceless as working with a coach through those kind of feelings. Why do I have this resistance? What exactly is my, what is causing it? And just being able to talk through all of that with someone was very helpful. And then another important thing is getting accountability. I know that you touch base with me on a regular basis to find out how it's going and if I need any help. Another
Mm,
really helpful thing I had was an accountability partner with Emmeline, who was also writing, and we made a standing appointment where we would meet at 8 a.m. every morning, and we would spend the first hour just working on our books. And
mm,
that just made it so that we had to show up. And if you've shown up, I think that's 50% of the work. Like once you've shown up, then you're going to put, if it's one line, if it's 10 lines today. But it
mm,
also got me thinking about the book before I go to bed, so that by the time I wake up in the morning, I have all of these things uh, that I need to put down. And sitting down was just putting everything down. And so that those are the things that helped me. So yeah, I think that's three now. It's like expect that
mm.
it'll take a little bit longer, give yourself some compassion about it and plan towards that. Work with a coach so that you can deal with whatever resistance or issues that may come up that you feel towards in the creation purpose, and also get an accountability partner that will make you show up
Mm,
and get a set time. I know a lot of it also got me reading a lot in terms of how to write and when to write and what other writers do. And I think one of the ones that comes up a lot is just having a routine, and that is deciding between this time and this time I'm going to write, and then being very consistent and true to that time. That was very helpful for me. There was a stage where I got kind of hung up for almost a month, and just having someone show up with me on a regular basis made it possible for me to power through that bit.
mm. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Do you think it's beneficial for a coaching business to have a best-selling book?
I think so.
Why?
um, Again, it is sort of my calling card, so to speak, and so much just the fact that it's a best-selling book, I reckon it just shows like enough people have seen the value in it, and that alone is enough to spark curiosity to say, okay, what's in this book that has sparked enough curiosity for it to become a bestseller?
Mm,
Uh, the fact that it's not so long as well is not, it means that it's not something that you would get and just put on the shelf and plan to get to one day and never get to it. It's something you can sit and go through in a short period of time. You'll be able to get some pointers, some exercises, and then ultimately you have an idea of what it will feel like if you want to work with Mary. So
right.
it feels quite a few, it ticks a few boxes.
Yeah.
So yes, that's why I say yes, definitely.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, it's been great talking with you, Coach Mary. I've really enjoyed connecting with you again. How can we find you on social media?
On social media, on my website is called the Wabi-Sabi Life Coach. I think you have to
Mm-hmm.
put all the dot dot the Wabi-Sabi Life Coach, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
And on Instagram, I am at Wabi-Sabi Coach.
Okay. And
So
I
there
will,
is no the on Instagram.
okay. I will make sure to put the links to your socials and to your website in the captions on this video.
Fabulous. So you
Wonderful.
can expect a lot more videos from me on the Instagrams
Yay.
soon. And if anybody ever watches this video and sees me on the grounds, please send me some love just so I can get some more videos out there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
talking to us, Coach
thank
Mary.
you. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Have a great day.